pressed record now.
Thank you. Welcome everyone to the meeting of Favesham Town Council Planning Committee, 15th of March. The Mayor will allow a maximum of 15 minutes for members of the council to receive questions from registered electors for the town before the formal meeting commences. This meeting may be filmed or recorded. At the start of the meeting, the Mayor will confirm if all or part of the meeting is being filmed or audio recorded. Definitely recorded. The whole of the meeting will be recorded, except where there are confidential or exempt items. If any member of the public has an objection to being filmed, please make yourself known to the Mayor or Deputy Town Clerk before the start. Have we any questions from public?
No, the public have confirmed they've no questions.
No questions, so we can go straight on to the agenda. Item 1, apologies for absence.
Apologies received from councillors Irwin and Barker, and Councillor Hook may join us a few minutes late.
Thank you.
Not his apologies being accepted.
Item 2, declarations of pecuniary and non-pecuniary interests. Members who have an interest to declare must declare the existence and nature of it at the start of the meeting and act in accordance with the Council's Code of Conduct, S27, Localism Act 2011. No hands up. Item 3, to receive and accept as a true record the minutes of the Town Council planning meeting held on 1st of March. I have a copy.
I'm happy to propose to accept those minutes.
Thank you. Have we got a seconder? I can't see.
I'm happy to second.
Thank you, Councillor Williams, thank you. Can we all vote on that? Great, thank you. Item 4, to receive the planning schedule dated the 1st of March 2021. Are there any?
No, I'll propose we accept that.
Thank you, Councillor Perkin. I agree with that. I would second that. Thank you. Could we all vote to accept the schedule? Thank you. Item 5, to consider and make representation to the relevant authorities on planning applications contained in the enclosed list dated 15th of March. (21500783) TCA 44 Britain Road, Favesham, conservation area notification. 20-metre privet hedge along perimeter of garden, Saxon Road, highlighted in green on the sketch. Replacement needed because large sections are dead and bare. Removal of hedge by accredited arborist company, TGM. Work includes removal and disposal of dead hedge, conditioning of the soil and replanting in same location with replacement laurel hedge, an attractive hedge with flowers. Have we got any comments? An arborist, sorry, arborist there. Anyone with any comments?
Councillor Williams has his hand up.
I'm happy to speak, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, thank you.
It's quite a prominent hedge actually on the roadside, and it's quite clear that it doesn't look very good. So I don't think we should object. I think the only comment I guess I could make, but it's probably irrelevant really in terms of how we decide, but is that it would be quite good to have seen a more sort of diverse hedging being replanted. But to be honest, I think the fact that replanting a hedge is kind of good enough, really. So I would propose no objection.
Yes. Thank you. Do I have a seconder? I can't see.
I'm happy to.
Councillor Saunders.
Thank
I'm
you,
happy to
Councillor
second,
Saunders.
Mayor, I agree with Councillor Williams that the hedge is
Yeah.
very obviously dying.
Absolutely.
I can't think there's a reason to object, although I recognise Councillor Williams' concerns.
Thank you. Thank you. Can we all vote on that? Thank you. 21500935 TCA, Westcombe 8 Roman Road, Favesham. Conservation area notification. 1 tree to crown reduce bay tree in rear garden by 3 metres and shape sides accordingly, leaving 3 metre radial crown and crown lift bay tree to a height of 2 metre from the ground for maintenance. Councillor Williams.
Yeah, I'm happy again to.
Thank
you. I think to be honest, I think there is again no reason to object. I think it's quite it seems quite appropriate maintenance for a tree of that size. So I propose no objection.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
I'm happy to second.
Thank you, Councillor Perkin. Can we all vote on that? Thank you. 2150102245 TCA 21 St John's Road, Favesham. Conservation area notification to fell 1 bay tree. Prune longest branches of 1 ceanothus by up to 1 metre. Final size will be 2 metre wide and 2.5 metre tall. Have we got any comments?
Madam Mayor, may I just?
Councillor Williams, yes.
Maybe it was just me, but for some reason I couldn't find this on the portal. So I think there's too many numbers on it, and I tried different numbers, but I couldn't find it. So I probably won't comment because I don't know the details.
You're right, those numbers.
Don't know if anyone else has managed to see it.
I don't know if the deputy clerks had chance to look at that, but it's definitely 1 number too long, isn't it?
It's probably 500 245. It seems mainly they're 500s, but I mean,
I wasn't able to locate it either.
No, I didn't.
Are we able to defer it to the next meeting then, or does it need to go before that?
Well, I can try and defer it. Yeah, I can ask them. Obviously, I don't know if they will let us have an extension on it, but if we haven't found it, apologies for that. But it's best not to comment if we haven't seen it.
Yeah, I agree. Because I don't know the details of why they're felling the tree, and I think.
Chris, they've popped it in the chat.
Yes, they have. Chris Oswald-Jones has got that number for us.
Legend.
Have you got it, Town Clerk? Yes.
I can just.
I can ask for an extension on it in the morning. But...
We've got the number now, though, haven't we? Hasn't Chris Oswald-Jones has sent the number in to us?
He has, but we haven't read the application.
Okay.
Yeah. Right.
We should need to read that. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Oswald-Jones. 2150000566 full 3-part road, replacement windows to the front of the property. Not a great deal of information. Have we got any comments on this application? I'm not getting everyone on my screen tonight. I don't know what I've done wrong, maybe. I'm only seeing one.
Speak to it, Madam Mayor.
Yes, please.
Yeah,
Councillor Saunders.
Clearly the applicant's taken kind of interest in their application and in the kind of heritage aspect of the house, and we kind of know from the conversations we've had with them that they're likely to pass this through. But I think in our comments we should still be saying that we would prefer wooden sash windows to be used.
Yes, that's our preference. Any other comments? Councillor Perkins.
I'm happy to second that. I think it's sensible.
Thank you. I agree. Could we vote on that?
Good.
I'm just going to, sorry to interrupt. I am here. I'm going to turn my camera off because my son keeps going back and forward in front of it.
Fine, Councillor Perkins. Thank you.
Councillor Saunders, could you just confirm, was it no objection or support?
No, I was saying that there's no point in us objecting, but that we should comment that we would prefer wooden sash.
So no objection and the comment.
But the preference, yes,
Yep.
would be. And can we all vote on that? That would be ours. I think Councillor Perkins.
My vote's in the chat.
Thank you.
I'm just not turning my camera off for the same reason.
No,
It's the
fine.
I agree.
Councillor Hook, thank you. 21500726 full 18 Priory Road. Proposed drop curb and drive. Does anyone have any comment? Councillor Perkins.
Yeah, I don't think we've got any reasonable reason to object to it. I'll just note that KCC have put in some specifications in that they want some visibility displays and they want the edge of the highway to make sure there's absolutely no kind of discharge for surface water and things like that. I'm happy to hear other opinions on that, but I think no objection, but also supporting what KCC has said around the points that they've raised.
The check-in. Thank you. Councillor Williams.
Thank you. I was just going to say I'm happy to second an objection, but a comment I'd like to make is that it will be, I know it's not about the drop curb per se, but it might be worth putting the comment in anyway, is that obviously adding further parking onto green space and front gardens can cause problems with runoff and flooding, which obviously is being recognised by KCC, but it would be good to sort of comment to say that we prefer to see some sort of permeable driveway put in. That'd be my view, just because I think it's I know other people have had it on that road, so it's not as though it's something unusual, but clearly they're potentially turning a grass bit into could be hard standing, so it might be worth us making that comment in there as well.
Thank you. Councillor Saunders.
I'm afraid I disagree with the other councillors. I think we should object to this. I mean, this is a row of historical houses. It's in a conservation area, and this house has an existing garden and a kind of old established wall. These drop downs and conversions of front gardens into parking space doesn't actually create extra parking. It takes away general parking because the frontage is no longer usable for parking. As Councillor Williams says, it does nothing for the environment. Also, minimising parking on the street makes it easier for people to drive more quickly, so it doesn't help our more than aspiration. It doesn't help enforce the 20 mile an hour speed limit, and I think it's just unfortunate that other people have been allowed to do this in the past. I don't think that means we should be just giving everyone a green light to create their front garden as a parking spot on this important row of historical cottages. So I think we should object.
Are there any other comments? So we've got, sorry.
I'll just make a brief comment. I mean, I do support it in the sense, I do think it can increase parking in the sense that you can fit a car on the driveway, and then the space, I mean, Councillor Saunders is right, the space at the end of the driveway is not then available for everybody else, but it can be that it's available for someone else who lives in the household. And very often when you have two adults working, unfortunately they do need to have two cars, and that's not ideal, and hopefully our economy will change in the next few years in a way that isn't necessary. And if we want also in the next years to get people to electric vehicle charging, I mean, some of that can be done on lampposts, but it's very expensive. And at the moment, I think the whole of Kent, I might be wrong, but certainly there's very few lamppost charging. I think it's none in Kent at the moment. And so people have to have our off-road parking to get an EV. And, you know, I don't really know that this family is going to immediately, but hopefully they and every family will in Favesham in due course, perhaps in the next 5 to 10 years, we'll start to see many of those. And so we've got to let people have the off-road parking in order to get rid of petrol and diesel. Because I know of a case of people who've moved to Favesham owning an EV and have then had to sell it because of the parking situation that there is outside the house they bought in Favesham. And so I think it's more complicated than that, really. So I certainly don't think we should object. At best, neutrality.
Thank you, Councillor Hook. So I have Councillor Williams. You were not objecting but wanted comments to be added, and Councillor Perkin, you seconded that proposal. But we'll go to Councillor Saunders first. Sorry,
I'm happy to propose that we object. I don't think there's a seconder for that, but I'll make the proposal.
No. Thank you. Is there a seconder? No. So
can I just ask a question? I just want to kind of, sorry to be a pain.
Yeah.
I just wanted to kind of understand what the material consideration would be, Councillor Saunders, to objecting to it.
Well, it would be on largely on conservation grounds. The nature of the row of cottages there. If you just kind of allow more and more people to take away their gardens, you're just kind of spoiling the whole feel of that terrace, which, as I say, is of historical importance and is very distinctive in any kind of context, but it's pretty unique within Favesham.
fine, thank you. The difficulty will be, I think, a good percentage have already got drives on the front, haven't they? So it could be that next door neighbour has got one and we're objecting to the person next door not having one. So, right. Councillor Williams, you propose no objection or an objection?
I seconded
with
Councillor Perkins.
Thank you. And could we vote on that?
Agreed.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Hook.
So to clarify, we're going for no objection, reiterating the KCC points.
Yes.
I think Councillor Williams brought up some points about permeability of the.
Yeah. Yes, that was.
Okay, thank you.
That's fine.
Yeah.
21500766. Land at Preston Fields, Salters Lane. Outline application for the erection of up to 70 dwellings, all matters reserved, and land reserved for a link road connecting the A251 with Salters Lane. Well, have we got any comments on this proposal? Councillor Williams.
Councillor Perkins first.
Oh, sorry, Councillor Perkins.
It's all right, it's hard to see.
That's fine. obviously this is quite a complicated application. It's taken quite a long time to go through all of the documents, but I just wanted to raise a few things. First of all, I think it's worth considering that the Environment Agency have suggested opposition to this proposal on the basis that there's a risk of pollution to controlled waters and that that's not acceptable. It's quite they've stated it's a high sensitivity area for water pollution. I've been reading through the contributions to various different things, what kind of provisions within the town. So, for example, they have estimated that, by they I mean Kent County Council, sorry, have estimated that 14 pupils for a secondary school would come out of 70 households. And I'm not sure how that's worked out. I assume it's through some kind of algorithm or something. But I mean, I couldn't discern how that was determined from that document. And then obviously there's contributions towards libraries and waste and youth services, which is all admirable. I'm concerned about the impact that a lot of this development will have on the AQMA at Ospringe. It is estimated that the 70 houses could add 396 total movements, which is obviously quite considerable. And it did say in the air quality management document that the 70 dwellings would have a moderate impact on one of the testing sites, but it would have negligible impact on a number of the other ones. But having said that, that's without taking into account the currently unapproved 250 additional residences that are subject to another planning application. And just as a result, I think there's quite a lot of things that need unpacking a little bit, and it's kind of, being completely honest, it's quite far above my comprehension of planning. I've tried to kind of put it all together in my head, but especially with the Environment Agency pointing out that we should object to it, I'm just not entirely sure how we can say no objection when kind of, you know, authority bodies are saying that there's a worry of water contamination. So I'd be interested in other people's thoughts on it.
Thank you. Councillor Saunders.
I think
Councillor Williams
is in front of me, I think.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Saunders. I'll be brief. Probably in a similar vein to Councillor Perkin, I kind of, there is a lot to take in these big applications, and you know, I take quite great interest generally in things like ecology reports and things like that. They can be like 200 pages and things. I can't remember how many pages this particular one was. So, you know, it's like taking those things in. But there are parts of this application that I think are quite good in terms of they're proposing relatively good pieces of green space, which I think is welcome, and they've looked to mitigate some of the boundaries with greening for residents that are already there. My concerns is one is around the Environment Agency's report. I think that's something we need to take into consideration. There's also a lot of, well, there was a couple of neighbours' objections relating to the link road that links Woodlink, Ashford Road, the A251 to Salters Lane, and looking at the maps and looking at local knowledge about how Salters Lane is used already, unless they do substantial widening of Salters Lane, or they find some method of it not being used as a rat run between the A2 and the M2, there's a big problem that road could become the size of it isn't sufficient for 70 houses worth of cars plus the extra additional traffic that can use it anyway. So I'm not convinced that road is particularly well thought through, and my inclination, based on some of the things that I think are concerned, I would be sort of leaning towards us objecting to it until, you know, based on that. But equally, you know, I've gone based on information I can understand that I think is a reason to do that. So that's my views on it, really.
Thank you, Councillor Williams. Councillor Saunders.
Thank you. Yeah, like others, I agree. There's a lot to read and take in.
Mm.
On a previous application, we did ask for a swale officer to talk us through the application a bit more. I'm wondering if there's time, Deputy Town Clerk, to have a similar session. So that's one comment. But in terms of the application itself, like others, I suppose I feel that we definitely shouldn't just wave this through, and we should point out a number of concerns that we've got in relation to it. In relation to Salters Lane, my understanding in the new local plan is that we're looking for Salters Lane to be a green lane which retains some of its rural character. And I'm not sure in what's been provided by the developer that's kind of really addressed satisfactorily. I agree with others about the Environment Agency's comments and the lack of a pollution statement. The requirement is for 35% of the development to be affordable housing, which is good, and it's higher than is being looked at in the amended local plan. But I'm not really clear that the developer makes it very clear that they're going to stick to that, and I'd like to see some more reassurance that that would happen. And I think with the link road, there's actually an opportunity to open up a new route for people who are cycling and walking, avoiding having to use the A2 as the town expands. And I don't think the developers really addressed that. So I'd like to see them come back with some more detailed proposals around how they would encourage cycling and walking. There's a particular opportunity because there's a bridleway just the other side of the motorway, which goes through to Bourton. There's an opportunity there really to open up a cycling and walking route from Bourton all the way through to Ospringe, not having to use the A2. And I think it's important that that opportunity is taken. So overall, I think there's a number of improvements we should definitely be pushing for. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other comments? Town Clerk?
Briefly, I think that last comment about cycling is excellent and is a really good point, because if you look at the map of where they're talking about a road, it's just sort of south of the new roundabout, that roundabout that goes into the supermarket at Perry Court, and a cycle / walking route there would be good, because among other things it would mean everyone who lives on the Perry Court estate would just have to cross the road and then cycle to Salters Lane, and then as Councillor Saunders says, pick up quiet rural routes going north or east to Bourton or into the some other end of Favesham. So that I think is a really good point, and actually would make the development better than it would be if that was a route for motor cars.
Thank you. Thank you. So Town Clerk, have you got those comments? So are we going back to say we'd like more discussion?
I haven't heard what your proposal is. Now I've got the points. So
I'm happy to propose an objection at this stage. I just don't think there's enough.
Yes.
I'm not convinced enough to say no objection at this point.
Without more discussion.
I would second that, because
thank you.
The Natural England and the Environment Agency documents, among others, raise real concerns which haven't been adequately answered.
Thank you. Are we in agreement with that? Could we just vote on that?
Agree.
Yes, absolutely unanimous there. Thank you. 21500844, 11 Favesham Reach. Proposed loft conversion and extension to form utility room on the ground floor. Again, Does anyone have any comments on that proposal? I will propose we don't object. But are there any other comments? No? Oh, Councillor Perkin.
I'm happy to second that. I don't think there's anything materially we could object to that proposal.
No. Thank you. Can we vote on that proposal? No objection.
Agreed.
Thank you. 21500896 Zenweg Mutton Lane, Ospringe. Erection of two-storey side extension and loft conversion with pitched dormer windows to front and rear elevations. Resubmission of 20506049 full resubmission. And do we have any comments on this? Councillor Saunders. I remember this. Yeah.
I mean, clearly there are some improvements that have been made since the application came in before, when I seem to remember we objected to it. But it's still a proposal which is it's kind of out of scale with the existing property and the one next to it. And it's not aesthetically a kind of pleasing design. I think there may also be some issues with parking. It's an area that's heavily used because of its nearness to Ospringe School. So, I think we should object again. I mean, not with a view necessarily to stopping development, but I think they probably need to do a bit more work really to make it a proposal that we can be happier with. So that my proposal would be that we object.
Councillor Williams.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm happy to second that actually, because the Ospringe Parish Council also raised the concerns on the scale of it, and also about parking problems. And I think Councillor is right. I don't think there's kind of it's still satisfactory enough for us to not object to it. So yeah, I'm happy to second that.
Thank you. Everybody happy with that? So proposer Councillor Saunders, seconder Councillor Williams. Can we all vote on that? Okay. Thank you. 21500901 full 30 Bramley Avenue, Favesham. Demolition of conservatory, erection of single-storey rear and side extension, and conversion of garage into habitable space, including external alterations. Have we got any comments? Councillor Perkin.
I don't think there's any material reasons we could object to it. I think it looks fine.
Yeah.
Happy to propose no objection.
Thank you. Any other comments, or do I have a seconder for that proposal? Councillor Williams. Are we all happy to vote on that? No objection. Can we all vote? Thank you. 21500909 37 The Knoll. Conversion of loft into habitable space with insertion of rear dormer and roof light. Erection of a replacement single-storey rear extension. Councillor Saunders.
Can I make just a general comment to start with? Because I think the description here isn't actually what the application is. The application's for a two-storey side extension.
I've got them. conversion of loft into habitable space.
Yeah, I noticed that too.
Yeah, and then replacement single story rear extension, a replacement.
Yeah, but the what's on the Swale portal is different. Sorry, I'm not looking at it at the moment, but
does anyone else have any other comments to make on?
I do have comments as as well.
Sorry,
I was
you.
just pointing that
You're just getting it, yeah.
out to start with.
Are you happy to continue then, Councillor Saunders?
Yeah, as Councillor Williams has confirmed, I'm right, I think.
Yeah, I've just gone online. I confirm you're right.
Yeah. So well, if others are happy to continue, my comments are that it's quite a large extension, and it's quite tall and bulky, and it is right on the well, it's not a road junction because you can't go up Penhurst Drive or whatever it's called. But it will be quite prominent. The extension seems to be a bit short on windows, and the lot of steps up to the front porch. So a bit like the application for Mutton Lane, I don't think it's a particularly satisfactory application at the moment, and I think I would prefer it if we objected and asked the if they came back with a kind of more sensitive proposal.
Thank you, Councillor Saunders. Are there any other comments on that? Have we got a seconder for Councillor Saunders' proposal?
I'm happy to second
Thank
that.
you, Councillor Williams. Can we all vote on that?
Agreed.
Thank you. 21500954, 16 Kennedy Close, erection of part single, part 2-story front and side extension, revised scheme 2050-5145. Yes, we've had this before. Are there any comments on this? Councillor Perkin?
Thank you. Just reading through the heritage statement on it, it does seem like the owners have made quite an effort to make sure that it kind of blends. It's not in the conservation area, but it backs onto it, I think. It's just seem to have taken a bit of care to blend the extension in with kind of the aesthetics of the fronts of the rest of the houses. And I think I would happily propose no objection.
Thank you. Do we have any other comments, or do I have a seconder for that proposal?
I'll second.
Thank you, Councillor Saunders. Can we all vote on that?
Agreed.
Yes, thank you. 21500980, 42 Ospringe Road. Change of use from homeopathy clinic to a residential dwelling house. Councillor Saunders.
I propose we have no objection to
I
it.
agree.
It's a residential road. I think the only change will be that a little metal plaque will disappear from the front of the house. But I think anything else would be impacted as far as the public are concerned.
Absolutely, no real change. I'm happy to second that unless anyone's got any other comments.
I'm happy to support it as well, with the caveat, should we go further and actually support it, because it's quite refreshing to create a new dwelling without having to build on some green land somewhere. And it's a very appropriate place because obviously it's a residential street, as Councillor Saunders rightly said. And so it's exactly what we should encourage, that when commercial premises are no longer needed,
Yeah.
that can be made somewhere to live in rather than build on countryside.
Thank you, Councillor Hook and Councillor Saunders.
I think we might be getting slightly carried away, because I think this is basically a residential premises which has been, you know,
Converted
a
back.
residential road. It's just been, I presume, a room or a small area has been set aside. I mean, we can support it, but I don't think it's really a change from commercial premises to housing. It's a house that has been used for another purpose. Yeah.
It's all still there.
So down by the chemist the other week, next to Paydon's, which was a similar thing where they were converting it back to a house.
Right. So we've got no objection, Councillor Saunders, and seconded. I'm happy to second that. No objection. And can we all vote on that?
Agreed.
Thank you. Thank you. And 21501023, 88 London Road, demolition of existing garage and side rear extension, erection of a single-storey front extension, two-storey front and side extension, and part two-storey, part single-storey rear extension. Quite a large extension. Are there any comments?
Councillor Perkin.
Sorry, yes.
Yeah, it is a big extension. The kind of mock-up of it in the photos is quite interesting. It is at the rear of the property, so I don't think it necessarily impacts on the visuals from the front. But it is big, but I don't think there's any reason to object to it. So I'd propose no objection.
Thank you. There's the space and it's set well back. I'm happy to second that. Are there any other comments before I ask us to vote? No? So can we vote on no objection?
Agreed.
I think that was Imogen actually agreeing to that, Councillor Hook, as well. So thank you. Yes, she agreed. Right, that's lovely. Thank you then. I think,
And then
we've got, Town Clerk, the proposed parking amendments for the street at Orr. Hopefully you've all got those and the plan.
Is this just for comment, this?
I think it is. Is it? Yes, we just need.
Can I make a comment, please? So I've had conversations with a business owner who is impacted by the problems with parking, and especially the hospitality trade has been really badly impacted by COVID-19, and it would be nice to be able to make sure that people that go out to visit the premises have somewhere to be able to park and use that. So I'm fully supportive of the change to the parking regulations.
Yes, and I definitely would second that. I think people are parking there all day, maybe people going to work, I don't know, but you're right, it's having a big impact on the hospitality business that's there. So
Councillor Williams has his hand.
Councillor Williams, sorry.
Yeah. I mean, I'm supportive of it, but and I think it is quite dangerous on that road actually, the amount of parking, because you've got quite a lot of people that drive up there towards Harty Ferry, and obviously you've got the businesses there, and there's actually quite large vehicles go down there, and it is quite dangerous. I've had instances where, you know, kind of come face to face with the car. So I think it's important that that actually it's quite needed there, I think. So
definitely.
I wouldn't be against it.
Any other comments, or are we all supporting? Supporting. If you're support. Thank you very much, everyone. I think that concludes this evening.
Just on, sorry to interrupt you, Madam
That's
Mayor,
quite right.
just on the previous application, which we said we would defer, that Chris or James kindly put in the comments. I wondered whether we might want to take the kind of next 5 minutes just to look at that and not have to delay it, because I've just looked at it and it's just a fairly straightforward application where they're felling and replacing a tree.
Any other comments? Are we happy?
I mean, I'm happy if colleagues want to defer it. It just makes sense maybe to take 5 minutes and look at it because it's fairly straightforward.
Are there any comments on that at all?
I think that seems sensible.
It seems, yeah.
We can.
This is the felling of the bay tree, is that right?
And
Yeah.
there's, yeah.
In St John's Road.
Yeah, 21-501-024.
Yeah.
I don't know if Councillor Williams can confirm for me. I'm right in thinking a bay tree is not a native species. It's a Mediterranean tree, isn't it, Councillor Williams?
Yeah, it's not. It's not a native species, but it's also they can become quite a problem if they're planted in the wrong place. And I think obviously these are quite small urban gardens. Quite often bay trees need to be quite severely pruned or even taken out because they're put in innocently as small trees and they get out of control. I mean, I've managed to look through it. I mean, there's not a lot of detail on there, to be perfectly honest, but
No.
I mean, my indications before when we were not seeing it was probably that there wouldn't be a problem with it because it, you know, as I said before, they're kind of problematic trees. But to now check it, I mean, personally, I wouldn't suggest we object to it. But
No. Any other comments? So no objection. I'm happy to second that.
Would you like to see suitable replacements, or?
I think so. I think just
It's
an
small,
effort to replace it would be a good comment.
sorry.
Something small, yes, add that as a comment.
Doesn't need to be like for like, does it? But
No.
something similar.
No,
It would be better not to be.
no, yeah. Can we all just
I just
vote?
looked at it on Google Maps, or
Right.
and it looks, if it's in the back garden, which I think it is from the application,
Cheers.
it must be fairly tucked away. I'm not sure that anyone would see it apart from the neighbours out there back windows. So I don't know if we even need to say it needs to be replaced. I mean, I'm no problem if you do want to say that, but this isn't a tree in a front garden. It's not part of the streetscape for the whole community.
And final size of the ceanothus will be 2 metre wide and 2.5 tall, quite large. So right, are we happy then to say no objection?
I think it's worth. Well, I mean, it doesn't harm to put in about suggesting replacement because
Possibly
they might
replant.
decide not to, but they might be inspired by our eagerness to see trees being planted. You never know. So
Something suitable for the size of their garden, and yeah. Okay, we'll add that then, thank you. Right, I think that's it for this evening then. Thank you everyone, thank you for your comments, and some of you I will see later. Thank you. Good
Bye.
evening.
Cheerio, everyone. Take care.
Evening. Thank you.